These are the two types of power steering reservoirs that Volvo put on the ES60, V70 and all those models from 2001 and 9. Volvo started with this model, which has the return line. The flow goes into the reservoir at the top, goes out to the pump at the bottom like this. Then somewhere in 2004-5 it switched the return line from the power steering as at the bottom is the rear connection here, and outgoing line to the pump is about the same as the early model. The difference is that this one has a problem sometimes. The older model has something dropping inside, it's just making the pump noisy, so people would just like to update to the later model with the two connections of the bottom. The line from the steering rack is the same. You notice on this one it comes at the bottom, on the other one it comes at the top, but you just when you just swap the reservoir, the returning line will just fit. You don't need to touch it on all years. The line, the hose going to the pump, older model, if you keep the hose, it kind of fits. On the newer model here at the bottom is gonna be like bent a little bit, so it's better if you swap the newer model of reservoir. Just grab the hose going to the pump as well. You notice the hose are not exactly the same. On this older model goes like this vertical, and on this goes horizontal. It's not the same part number, but it kind of fits if you force it a little bit. But my video is really about there's a filter inside this reservoir. At least this one has a filter, and I want to just split it over, break it basically, and show you the filter on it. Great, good hammer. This is the older model. You notice how they it's kind of a pipe inside, and that's attached to the return line, and there I couldn't see any filter inside, so that's the older model. Let's just put it on side. Now this is the newer model, and this is what I want to show. Again, this is the line that comes, the return line to the reservoir from the rack, goes inside the reservoir, and there is a filter just at that line. So basically the fluid comes from the steering rack, it's pumped, goes inside this filter, it's filtered, goes inside the reservoir, and then goes to this hole back to the pump, outgoing line. But what I think is happening is that for some reason, I'm not sure why, Volvo put this filter right on top of the return line. Basically what this filter does is that it prevents all debris and all metal shavings from the pump to flow into the reservoir. Basically the shavings, and you notice this one is really dirty. It's really dirty with metal shavings, I guess, and all wear inside, and everything that comes from the steering rack is basically blocked into this line, cannot flow into the reservoir. The filter should have been put on the outgoing hose right before the ongoing hose, so that all debris will be just captured inside the reservoir. Instead, all the debris flow from the pump, go inside the rack, go onto the incoming line, and get blocked here. And I don't believe all the debris will just get caught in the reservoir. When you stop the engine, the debris may just flow back into the rack. And I think this is one of the reasons why you get a stiffer steering rack. There are other reasons for sure, but one of them is that all the debris get stuck into the return line, flow back into the rack, flow back into the rotary valve that's inside the rack, and just clog that valve in time after 5, 10, 15 years. And the rotary valve just cannot pass the fluid with the correct pressure, and then the steering gets stiffer and stiffer. Again, it's not the filter itself came out pretty easily from there, but it's really not accessible. If you put the cover back in place, I split this guy open. It's really not accessible there inside.